There were 2 nights before the new year when Mark realized that nothing he ever brought home was enough. The apartment smelled of pine and cold air. Mark stood quietly in the living room, watching his wife, Helen, circle the Christmas tree he had carried up 4 flights of stairs by himself. The tree was tall, full, carefully chosen. He had even brushed snow from its branches before bringing it inside. Helen crossed her arms. "It's crooked," she said. Mark adjusted it slightly. "I can fix it." "The needles are uneven." He turned it again. "It's too thin on one side," she continued, "and the color's wrong. It looks cheap." Mark swallowed. "It's real. The lot owner said it was fresh." "Fresh doesn't mean good. Everyone else has perfect trees. This one looks sad." She walked away, already bored. Mark stood there, hands still on the trunk, feeling foolish for caring. For 2 days, she complained. Every glance at the tree brought a new flaw. Too tall, too wide, too plain. The lights didn't sit right. The ornaments looked worse against it. The tree became an insult simply by existing. On the second night, just after midnight, Helen snapped. "I'm not starting a new year with this thing," she said sharply. "Take it out, go get another one, now." Mark stared at her. "It's past midnight, everything's closed." She didn't look up from her phone. "Then find something that's open." "It's freezing." She finally met his eyes. Her expression was flat, uncaring. "If you actually listened to me the first time, we wouldn't be having this conversation." Mark hesitated. "Go," she said. "I want a better tree before morning." He grabbed his coat. Outside, the city was quiet in that strange way it only became near the end of the year. Snow dusted the sidewalks. Decorations glowed in windows, warm and mocking. Mark drove until he saw lights. A supermarket. Its sign flickered weakly, the letters buzzing like insects. The parking lot was empty, but the doors were unlocked. That should have warned him. Inside, the air was too warm, too still. The shelves were stocked, but dust coated everything, as if no one had touched the place in a long time. Holiday music played softly over the speakers, warped and slowed, like a dying tape. Mark walked past aisles of forgotten food, his footsteps echoing too loudly. Then he saw the trees. They were lined up in the back of the store, dozens of them, all identical, perfectly shaped. Their needles were dark, almost black, and glistened as if wet. Mark felt uneasy, but relieved. These would satisfy her. As he stepped closer, the lights above him flickered. The music stopped. Something shifted between the trees. At first, Mark thought it was just shadows, but shadows didn't breathe. Figures emerged slowly, their bodies thin and bent at wrong angles. Their faces were stretched, their smiles carved too wide, their eyes reflecting the overhead lights like glass. Mark stepped back. "Hello?" he called, his voice shaking. They answered by laughing. It wasn't loud, it was layered, soft and cruel, overlapping whispers that crawled under his skin. "You came so late," one of them said. "Just for a tree," another added. Mark ran. The aisles twisted, shelves moved, the exit was gone. Cold hands grabbed his coat, his arms, his throat. They dragged him down between the trees, forcing him to his knees. They didn't rush. They liked his fear. They showed him things, visions pressed into his mind. Helen's face twisted with anger, her voice sharp and endless. Every insult, every dismissal, every moment he made himself smaller to keep the peace. "You gave everything," they whispered, "and it was never enough." Mark screamed until his voice broke. They hurt him, slowly, methodically, feeding on every cry, every tear, every shuddering breath. His pain echoed through the empty store. swallowed by the walls. By the time they were finished, Mark no longer begged. He no longer moved. When morning came, the supermarket was gone. In its place was an empty lot buried under fresh snow. Helen woke up irritated. Mark wasn't home. The tree still stood in the living room exactly where he had left it. She checked her phone. No messages, no calls. By noon, police arrived. Mark's car was found abandoned several blocks away. The doors were open, the engine cold. Inside, there were scratches on the steering wheel, blood on the seat. They never found his body. That night, Helen noticed something strange. The Christmas tree looked different, taller, darker. Its needles glistened, and beneath the smell of pine there was something else, something metallic. She turned away, annoyed, already finding new flaws. She never noticed the branches slowly bending towards her.
There were 3 nights before the new year, and the town was dressed in lights it didn't deserve. Plastic stars blinked from rooftops. Windows glowed with false warmth. Laughter leaked from houses like something rehearsed. To everyone else, it was the happiest time of the year. To Ethan, it was unbearable. At 12 years old, Ethan already hated the sound of celebration, the countdowns, the forced smiles, the way adults pretended that turning a calendar page could fix what was broken. Every year the new year arrived the same way, loud, bright, and dishonest. His family's Christmas tree stood in the corner of the living room, wrapped in glittering tinsel and blinking lights. It smelled artificial, sharp and cold, like plastic pretending to be alive. Ethan stared at it every night, feeling something twist inside his chest. That tree didn't belong inside the house. On the 3rd night before New Year's Day, while the town slept under falling snow, Ethan made his decision. He waited until his parents were asleep. The house creaked as if warning him, but he ignored it. Slowly, carefully, he unplugged the lights. The tree seemed to sag without them, its ornaments clinking softly like nervous teeth. Dragging it through the back door was harder than he expected. The needles scratched the floor, leaving thin green scars behind. Cold air rushed in, biting his face. Outside, the yard was silent, the snow untouched, pale under the moonlight. Ethan planted the tree in the center of the yard. He didn't feel guilty. He felt relieved. From the garage, he took a small metal can and a box of matches. His hands shook, not from fear, but from something close to excitement. He poured the liquid over the branches, watching it soak in, darkening the fake green needles. When he struck the match, the sound felt too loud. The flame caught instantly. Fire climbed the tree with hunger, orange and violent. Glass popped. Plastic melted and dripped. Smoke rolled upward, thick and bitter, carrying a smell that didn't belong to winter. Ethan stepped back, breathing hard. For the first time in weeks, he smiled. But the fire did more than burn plastic and lies. It sent out a signal. Not a light, but a scent. Something ancient stirred beyond the fences, beyond the frozen streets. They did not care about holidays or calendars. They cared about what humans released when they broke something meant to symbolize hope. Fear, anger, and beneath it all, the faint promise of blood. Ethan didn't notice the silence changing. The wind stopped first. Then the distant hum of the town faded, as if someone had turned the world down. Even the fire seemed quieter, its crackling muffled, wrong. A pressure settled in the yard. He felt it crawl along his spine. He turned slowly. The darkness beyond the firelight no longer looked empty. Shadows stretched where they shouldn't, folding into shapes that refused to stay still. The snow near the fence was disturbed, not by footprints, but by something that had slid, dragged, or seeped across it. His smile vanished. The air grew heavy, thick with a coppery tang that made his stomach twist. Ethan hadn't been bleeding, he was sure of that, but something nearby remembered the smell. A sound came from behind the shed, not a voice, not an animal, more like breath, slow, eager, layered, as if several mouths were learning how to breathe at once. Ethan stepped back. The fire flared higher, reacting to his fear. Flames reflected in shapes that weren't really there, or maybe were. Tall, thin outlines hovered at the edge of the light, bending towards him. He tried to scream. Nothing came out. The ground beneath his boots felt soft, unstable, as if the yard itself had begun to rot. His heart hammered so hard it hurt. Every instinct told him to run, but his legs refused to move. The spirits drew closer. They did not touch him. They didn't need to. They fed what poured out of him, the terror, the despair, the sharp hatred he had carried for so long. Each breath he took made them stronger. The fire dimmed, shrinking as if starved, while the darkness grew rich and full. Ethan finally found his voice. It broke into the cold night, thin and desperate. No one heard it. By morning, the yard was empty. The snow was smooth again, unbroken. The burned tree was gone, reduced to a blackened stain that faded as the sun rose. No ashes, no ornaments, no matches, just silence. Ethan's parents found the back door open. They found green needles scratched into the floor. They never found Ethan. When the new year arrived 3 nights later, fireworks exploded across the sky. People cheered, glasses clinked. Music drowned out the unease that crept through the streets. But some swore that between the explosions, they could smell smoke and something else. Something hungry.
There were 4 nights left before the new year when they left the party. Music still echoed in their ears as they stepped outside, the bass fading into the cold air. The house behind them glowed with colored lights, laughter spilling from open windows, unaware that it was saying goodbye forever. There were 5 of them. Liam was driving. He was 21, confident, careless in the way only youth allowed. Beside him sat Noah, quiet and watchful, scrolling through his phone even though there was no signal. In the back were Emma, 20, wrapped in a thin coat, Ryan, 19, and drunk on cheap vodka, and Claire, 18, sober but exhausted. They laughed as the car pulled away. None of them noticed the clock on the dashboard glitch for a moment, flashing 11:55, then 11:54, then correcting itself. Snow fell lightly, blurring the edges of the road. The highway they took was old, rarely used this late at night, a shortcut Liam swore by. "Relax," he said when Emma hesitated. "We'll be home before midnight." The radio crackled. Static swallowed the music, replacing it with faint, rhythmic tapping, like fingers against glass. Liam hit the dashboard. Damn thing! The tapping stopped. They drove in silence for a while. The trees on either side of the road grew denser, darker, pressing in like walls. Snow reflected the headlights in sharp, blinding flashes. Then they passed the first sign. New Year, 4 miles. That wasn't there before, Claire said quietly. Ryan laughed. You're just paranoid. 2 minutes later, another sign appeared. New Year, 3 miles. No one laughed this time. The road felt longer. The car's engine strained as if climbing an invisible hill. Noah finally looked up from his phone. We're not moving right. Speed says 60, but it feels like... The radio turned on by itself. A voice whispered through the static, layered and distorted. 4. Emma's breath caught. Did you hear that? Liam tried to change the station. Nothing responded. The next sign loomed suddenly in the headlights. New Year, 2 miles. Ryan sobered instantly. Okay, this isn't funny. The temperature inside the car dropped violently. Their breath fogged the windows from the inside now. Outside, the trees no longer looked natural. Their branches bent toward the road, tangled like grasping arms. The whisper returned. 3. The car jerked violently. Liam swore as the steering wheel pulled hard to the left. The tires screamed, losing traction. The world spun. Then, impact. Metal shrieked. Glass exploded. Blood spattered across the windshield in warm, shocking streaks. The car slammed into a tree and went still. Silence followed. Then, screaming. Emma's scream cut off abruptly when she looked at Ryan. He was slumped forward, unmoving, his head at an impossible angle. Blood pooled in his lap, soaking the seat, dripping steadily on the floor. Claire was crying, hands shaking, her forehead split open, red running down her face. Noah tried to open his door. It wouldn't move. Outside, the trees were closer now. Too close. The road behind them was gone, swallowed by darkness. A figure stood between the trunks. Tall, thin. Its shape flickered, unstable, like it wasn't fully present. Its face was a blur, but its mouth was wide, stretching too far, filled with shadow and wet sound. The voice came again, clearer now. 2. Liam tried to restart the car. The engine coughed and died. The thing moved. Emma watched in horror as branches peeled away from the trees, snapping, reshaping, forming limbs that dragged across the snow toward them. Blood from the crash soaked into the ground, steaming faintly. The scent was everywhere. The thing fed on it. The passenger window shattered inward. Cold air rushed in along with something sharp and heavy. Noah screamed as he was pulled halfway out, his fingers tearing bloody trails into the glass. There was a sickening crack. Then silence. Emma couldn't move. She couldn't scream. She could only watch as Claire was dragged screaming into the dark, her voice fading into wet, choking sounds that ended too suddenly. Liam sobbed, "Please, please." The figure leaned close to the windshield. 1. The glass exploded. When the new year arrived, fireworks bloomed over the town. Cheers erupted, glasses raised, music drowned the night. Miles away, snow covered the road again. The next morning, police found the wreck. Ryan was dead instantly, neck snapped. Emma was found in the back seat, eyes open, throat torn open, blood frozen dark against her skin.
Liam was missing his lower body completely, dragged away into the trees, blood staining the snow in a long, violent trail. Noah was never found. Neither was Claire. The case was closed as an accident, but every year, 4 nights before the new year, drivers swear they see signs on that road. New Year, 4 miles. And if they listen closely, they can hear counting.